Buying the right certificates to meet your business needs can be complex. Luckily, there are some helpful contracting structures out there to suit the needs and objectives of any business. And one of the simplest forms of contracting is GreenPower. GreenPower is renewable energy from government-accredited sources. This government scheme was established back in 2009 to encourage the development of renewable projects in Australia. Almost all electricity retailers in Australia have some kind of GreenPower accredited product that lets you purchase between 10 to 100% of your electricity from a renewable source. When a retailer sells a GreenPower product to a business or household, they commit to buying and retiring the equivalent of each customer's electricity use in renewable energy certificates, also known as RECs. Remember, it's important to retire each certificate so that it can't be traded on the market by anyone else. Double counting is a big no-no. These RECs are on top of the certificates that retailers and wholesale buyers have to buy to meet their compliance obligations under the renewable energy target. Like any certificate, businesses can buy GreenPower and claim that their electricity comes from 100% renewable sources. Is GreenPower like a different certificate to the ones in the last video, the LGCs? Actually, no, it's not a different type of certificate. It's an auditing process for certificates. So as a business, you're still buying the same large-scale technology certificates from the retailer, and the retailer is then retiring them on your behalf. When your certificates are audited by GreenPower, you can be assured that the retailer has purchased the correct amount. No double counting. Okay, so GreenPower helps make sure my certificates are only used once. Yes, without a verification process like this, a generator could hypothetically sell the same certificates to two different retailers, which would lead to double counting. GreenPower also makes sure that any electricity generators that are issuing certificates were built after 1997. And this is to make sure that they meet certain environmental criteria. So GreenPower basically exists to ensure that the certificates you're purchasing are real and of high quality. GreenPower is also seen as a credible claim for renewable energy by RE100. RE100 is a global corporate initiative that brings together hundreds of large and ambitious businesses committed to 100% renewable electricity. It's kind of a big deal. Buying GreenPower sends a signal that there's demand for renewables, which in turn supports the development of the sector. It costs a little bit more so that your footprint is a lot less. Now, let's compare the pros and the cons of GreenPower. The pros of GreenPower: very easy to contract. It can be added on top of almost any electricity contract out there, and you generally don't need to change your electricity provider. And the process of switching, if you choose to do so, is pretty easy. You can also use the GreenPower logo, and this is recognized by consumers, so it's got great marketing benefits. And you also get an additional layer of accreditation, so your organization can rest easy knowing your public claims are substantiated. Now for the cons. It's generally more expensive than other contracting options. Also, GreenPower costs are volatile because the price is directly linked to the market price of LGCs. So if your driver for going renewables is cost and price certainty, then you might want to consider alternative options. Limited impact. There's no clear evidence that buying GreenPower directly supports the financing of additional renewable energy generation. One reason for this is that the certificates are issued by existing generators rather than new ones. Another reason is the LGC market is oversupplied, meaning right now there are way more LGCs available to buy than there is demand for them. In 2020, total GreenPower sales represented only 2% of total LGCs available. There's really no scarcity for LGCs, so buying them isn't an incentive for additional investment in renewables. And the last con is it's not very tangible. A standard GreenPower investment via a retailer can't be tracked back to a specific renewable project. And some brands might struggle with this, as it means that they can't tangibly claim their renewable investment connects to a specific source. For example, it would be nice to say, we helped the development of the Whitsunday solar farm and it created 200 jobs. For larger businesses who want to get around this limitation, GreenPower has introduced two new products called GreenPower Corporate Direct and GreenPower Connect. You can find out more about these in the video description. So who should buy GreenPower? To work this out, you need to first figure out your electricity use and then your electricity cost. The reason for this is you could be a large business with hundreds of staff and millions in revenue, but your electricity bill is relatively small because you only operate a couple of offices. So with that in mind, GreenPower might be right for your business if you typically consume under 2,000 megawatt hours of electricity per year, or if your electricity bill is under $500,000 per year. If you meet this criteria, GreenPower is likely the most straightforward pathway for your business. Okay, so then how do we buy GreenPower? Buying GreenPower is a super easy process. Most energy retailers have a GreenPower offering. Option 1, contact your current electricity provider and ask them to provide a quote to add GreenPower onto your plan. Or option 2, start shopping around. Ditch your current electricity provider and switch to one with a GreenPower plan. Often, switching to GreenPower doesn't actually need to cost you any more money. But if it does, you can easily offset this with things like energy efficient light bulbs, automatic thermostats, and then reinvest those savings back into your GreenPower electricity supply. After all, the most sustainable electricity is the stuff you don't use. Hot tip, if you've been on your electricity contract for some time, you might be able to switch to a plan that includes GreenPower at no extra cost. You may end up saving money on your electricity bills. Right now, there are over 30 retailers offering GreenPower products for businesses, and you can find them all on the GreenPower website. They might go under different names, but they're all offering the same thing. To compare costs, you can use the Energy Made Easy website, or if you're in Victoria, the Victorian Energy Compare website. So you're saying all I need to do is switch my electricity contract to GreenPower with an existing or new provider? That sounds pretty easy to me. Well, not all retailers are equal. Some of the retailers offering GreenPower are amongst Australia's biggest polluters. So we recommend being picky and choosing a renewable friendly retailer. You can check out our guide for more information. Another way to buy GreenPower is by separating it from your electricity contract, and this is called decoupled GreenPower. Decoupled providers don't sell electricity, they instead offer separate GreenPower products that are not included in your normal electricity contracts. These providers are also listed on the GreenPower website under Event or Decoupled in the Find a Provider tool. Well, it sounds to me like GreenPower is a pretty solid option for small businesses, when they want to claim that they're 100% renewable. But it's not necessarily an option that will have a lot of impact. What if I'm really set on making the biggest contribution I can to supporting the transition to renewables? Is there any other options available to small businesses? Yeah, there are plenty of innovative out-of-the-box solutions out there for businesses that want to go the extra mile or contribute more directly to the transformation of the grid. These include things like investing in community solar or even your own solar or wind farm, which would be pretty cool. If you're interested in hearing more about these options, you can contact the BRCA here, somewhere. They're good guys.